Have you ever had an enemy, someone who just could not stand you and was so mean to you? Well, the prophet Moroni did. Actually, he had thousands of them. Let's dive into it. Moroni 10. The prophet Moroni has spent the last 36 years of his life. That's 13,149 days, or 18,934,560 minutes, hiding from the Lamanites, knowing that if they find him, they will kill him. And yet, just before sealing up the record his father so lovingly abridged and that he's added to, he wants to include one last message to the Lamanites. Not to chastise them, not to blame them for how hard his life has been, but to call them to come to Christ. He exhorts the Lamanites to do 5 things. 1. Remember how merciful the Lord is. 2. Ask God if the words in the Book of Mormon are true. 3. Don't deny the gifts of the Spirit. 4. Remember that every good gift comes from Christ. And 5. Remember that Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He then ends his record with a call to everyone, and this is probably my favorite part of the entire Book of Mormon. After hundreds of pages of good examples, bad examples, commandments, exhortations, repentant sinners, and rebels, Moroni ends the record by telling us one important message over and over in just 2 verses. Now, as I read these verses, I want you to count how many times Moroni says either perfected in Christ or sanctified in Christ. So in Moroni 10, verses 32 through 33, he says, Yea, come unto Christ, and be perfected in him, and deny yourselves of all ungodliness. And if ye shall deny yourselves of all ungodliness, and love God with all your might, mind, and strength, then is his grace sufficient for you, that by his grace ye may be perfect in Christ. And if by the grace of God ye are perfect in Christ, ye can in no wise deny the power of God. And again, if ye by the grace of God are perfect in Christ, and deny not his power, then are ye sanctified in Christ by the grace of God through the shedding of the blood of Christ. Now, I counted 5 times that Moroni mentioned we will be perfect in Christ. And so Moroni's final message to the world is, don't try to do this alone. Jesus can make you holy. Jesus can perfect you. We just have to let him. And that's the end of the Book of Mormon. Moroni would bury the plates in the ground and then wander until he died, and we don't know when that was. But we do know that it was 1,402 years later that Moroni, then an angel, led Joseph Smith to the hill Cumorah, where he unearthed the plates and they were seen by mortal eyes again. So what's the lesson we learn from Moroni 10? I think we learn a lot from Moroni's charity toward the Lamanites. He wrote and labored to help people who wanted to kill him. So when Moroni wrote about charity, he knew what he spoke of. I believe we need to get to the same point where we care for those who wish us ill. Which begs the question, will heaven feel like heaven to me if my enemies are there? And if not, how can I gain more charity so that it will? Now, if you want daily help studying Come Follow Me, make sure to check out the link in the description to the Start Here membership, which takes care of individual and family study for you every day of the year.